Did you know that June is a National Gun Violence Awareness Month? And a grassroots effort is underway to address and prevent gun violence in our communities. So with us now, we want to bring in Lindsay Warren. She's the deputy chair leader for Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense. Lindsay, thank you so much for being with us this Monday morning.
Ronnie, thanks so much for having me. It's nice to see you again.
I know that you have been involved in this effort for a few years now. Does it get frustrating?
It's not that it's frustrating. I'm almost numb to it. People ask me how I reacted after the latest school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. And frankly, I went straight to anger. Like I skipped right over the crying and the tears and the shock, because I'm frankly not shocked by any of it. It can happen anywhere at any time. No zip code is immune. And it's just sort of a waiting game. It's like, who's going to be next? Until we, can make some really big changes, it's just going to keep happening. So, yeah, I pretty much went straight into action. And whenever there's a big media shooting, I hate to say media shooting, a shooting gets a lot of media attention, that's when we just jump into who can we get to join us in this fight. So I just get straight into work mode. So, yeah, went straight over the tears and right into how can we get more people to join us.
So for those not familiar with Moms Demand Action, give us some background.
Sure. So Moms Demand Action was founded by a mom the day after the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012. She was a stay-at-home mom with 5 kids and just basically said, I can't handle this. I can't do this anymore. I can't just sit on the sidelines. So she just did what any mom who was upset would do. She made a Facebook page. And from there, it grew. And Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America was formally formed into a nonprofit, and then eventually was brought under the umbrella of Every Town for Gun Safety, which is Michael Bloomberg's org. His org started as Mayors Against Illegal Guns when he was New York's mayor, and he had put into place some very strong, healthy laws in that city, and now that state has some really good laws in place, and therefore has become a safer state. And so through the years, 10 years now since the org has been formed, we have 8 million volunteers. So we're the largest grassroots gun violence prevention org in the country, fighting for a safer America.
And we all know moms are very passionate. Is that why you joined this group?
100%. You don't have to be a mom. I like to point that out. I mean, we have moms, we have dads, we have non-parents, we have gun owners. It was just founded by a mom, just like Mothers Against Drunk Driving was. But yes, for me personally, I had an infant at the time of Sandy Hook, so I didn't really know where to start, and I didn't officially get started right then, but I knew it was something that had to change. I have a 10-year-old, so every day I send him off to school and worry, and think, is this school safe enough? Because, we know the laws here in Michigan aren't strong enough. So it's a real fear.
So with that, Lindsay, can I ask, because we know every time there is one of these mass shootings at a church or at a school, we get the news coverage, there are thoughts and there are prayers, and the debate comes up yet again about guns in America. And then it just seems to fade from the headlines.
Yep.
So for your organization and other organizations such as yours, what's being done behind the scenes on a day-to-day basis to try to actually get something done once and for all?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And I urge everyone to check out momsdemandaction.org and click on Our Victories. It kind of gives you a little bit of hope that it's not hopeless. We work behind the scenes to make change at the local and state level. We, in Michigan, because we do not have what we would call a gun sense majority, we do not have enough folks elected who want to be on our side and pass some gun safety laws. So we're oftentimes fighting bad bills. And defeating them. So, for some states, it's a defensive game. So it seems like we're not getting anywhere, but in fact, we are. We'll fight things like, a law that would allow people to carry guns everywhere, And so it's not just an offensive game. It's not just wanting to pass, a background check law or a red flag law. It's very incremental. It's very slow. But I do think this time it may be different. I think, certainly mass shootings make headlines every time. And you're right, there's a lot of talk right afterward. But when it's a school shooting and these are babies, that affects people differently. None of this is a natural order of things. No one should be shot going to the grocery store. No one should be shot at church. Nobody should be shot when they go to school. However, I think when it hits young children, that's when people really take notice. And I do think we have a chance this time around to get a few things passed at the federal level, which would really make a difference because then all states would be covered. And, just last weekend, we heard that Congress is considering a slate of some really common sense laws that would not infringe upon anyone's right to own a gun. It would just make it, a little bit harder to get one if you may have a criminal background. So background check on every sales, maybe raising the age to 21 to buy instead of 18, just all common sense things that would just make all of us Americans safer.
Because we did see a surge in guns being bought during COVID and the pandemic. And I thought it was kind of odd that gun stores were allowed to remain open, but restaurants were closed.
Yes. The gun lobby has a huge amount of power, and their only goal is to sell more guns. They don't care about safety anymore. They don't care about hunting culture anymore. They don't care about sporting culture. That's kind of where they began, and they were a pretty normal organization back in the day, but now it's just turned into how do we sell more guns? And, there's always a boogeyman. So there was a surge in sales when we had Obama in office. Oh my gosh, scary Democrat president. We need to sell more guns. And then, we have COVID. We're all at home. What do we need to buy guns for? But every time that there's a slump, they just, come up with an excuse to try and scare people into buying more, so now it's, again, we have a Democrat president. He might take away your guns, go buy a bunch more just in case, but it's all made up. There's no data to back it up. The best part about working for an org like Moms Demand Action is our paid staff. People way smarter than me who are lawyers and researchers. They work with the CDC and do long-term research studies. So websites like everystat.org or everytownresearch.org, you can see the peer-reviewed data, not just, a gun lobby talking point. So.
And I do think that a lot of people would be surprised to know that so many of the deaths by gun are due to suicide.
Yeah.
So for so many parents, it's, really is a sad reminder that even if the law doesn't require you to secure your gun, if you have a child, that is a very serious concern.
That is my biggest concern, and the thing I worry about most is actually gun suicide. Here in Michigan, Michigander dies by gun suicide every 12 hours.
Wow.
And the gun violence cost in total in Michigan, $9.1 billion every year is the cost of both suicides and homicides. But again, suicides are the vast majority. That breaks down to $422 million that taxpayers pay every year in Michigan to deal with this very fixable problem. And so that's $461 per taxpayer that we're paying for a very fixable problem. A red flag law would really address the suicide issue. That is a temporary removal of firearms that a family member or trusted friend would petition the court. And they would say, I'm really concerned about my brother, my sister, my mother, my son, whoever. I think they're they could harm themselves or others. And then it's a temporary removal from anywhere as short as 2 weeks to 1 year. And in that time, the person would have to show that they've, taken care of their mental health, or if they were worried about them harming someone else, again, taking care of whatever was going on with them, to try and get better. And if a state as red as Florida can pass one, a state like Michigan certainly can as well. So there are solutions out there that, again, are very common sense, are not going to infringe upon anyone's right, but absolutely would save lives.
What have you learned by being a part of this group?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. So I've been a part for 7 years now. besides the fact that it's a marathon and we, can't give up, I think it's really just that the tiniest little changes can make the biggest impact. Safe storage laws would make a huge impact, and young children not getting their hands on firearms that they shouldn't be touching until maybe the part of their brain that controls impulse is fully formed. And also just the hold that the gun lobby has had on America. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a domestic violence law. Someone who's been convicted of domestic violence really shouldn't own a firearm. And I think most responsible gun owners would agree with that. A background check law. I mean, if we have to go through all these hoops to just drive a car, I don't think it's that much to ask to get a proper criminal background check on every sale. And the thing is, people say, oh, no, you have to get it for every sale. Absolutely not. You and I could go get a gun online or at a gun show right now without any background check. Only licensed dealers have to do that. There are plenty of unlicensed dealers. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is that both sides of this aisle, take the gun lobby out of it, just your average American. If we sat down face to face, there's plenty of things we agree upon, besides just background checks, which we know the vast majority of Americans are in favor of. There's plenty of other things we can agree upon. Safe storage is not controversial. A red flag law really isn't when you learn the ins and outs of these things. So we have to get past the talking points and the media headlines and really sit down and come together. No matter the side of the aisle you're on, a bullet doesn't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. A school shooter is not going around asking, hey, what side of the aisle are you on? They got access to a gun and they shouldn't have. And so there's plenty that we can do. We'll never get rid of every single death, just like, while Mothers Against Drunk Driving has very much decreased, drunk driving deaths and has changed the culture. Moms of Main Action can do the same thing. It's just very slow, but there are very small things we can do to create very big change and save many, many lives.
So with that, Lindsay, can I ask if people want to learn more information, where can they get that?
So the easiest way, there's two things we're working on right now. So we asked folks if they want to get involved with our local group, and we have local groups in every single state from Alaska to Florida. You just text the word READY to 64433, and you will be asked just one question, and that is your zip code. And then after that, you'll get invited to all your local events, any opportunity, to take action. And then the other action, if you don't even want to get involved, you don't have the time, you're a full-time working parent, you can just text the word BOLD to that same number, BOLD, to 64433, and you will get connected to your U.S. senators, and you can ask them to vote on the gun safety legislation that was just introduced.
Thank you so much for your time. We so appreciate it, and good luck. Like you said, it's a marathon.
Yep, we're not giving up. Thanks, Ronnie.